Okay, so we're ready to get started. Shelby, I'm not sure that you have had the opportunity to see Kahoot in practice yet or not. I know we've done some Kahoots at every school during professional development, but I'm not sure if you've had that opportunity to see it. You've seen it used in class, great. So you've at least got a little bit of experience with it. I'm going to start kind of at the beginning and kind of give you just a little preview of what Kahoot is and what it looks like. And then we'll just spend a few seconds doing that. And then we'll dive into the ways that you can get started using it should the opportunity present itself for you to do that. Okay, so let me start sharing my screen with you. Forgot I wasn't on that yet. Okay, so I've got one up here ready to go just as a preview. And what you're seeing on the left in the orange is what the teacher would be projecting up on the screen. And then what you see on the right-hand side is what the students are going to see on their screens. Now, Kahoot is as it works on any device. So, they're picturing an iPhone or an iPod here, but you can bring it up on our DAC, you could bring it up on a Chromebook, on an iPad. If you can get to the internet on it, you can bring up Kahoot on it. So whatever device students are using works just fine, and their screen's going to look exactly like this no matter what device they are on. So I have a meiosis, cell cycle meiosis quiz ready to launch here. So settings you can have whether you want it to play music or not, whether you want it to show the instructions even after you start. I personally would recommend that where it says like show minimize lobby instructions, show display game pin throughout. I would probably recommend keeping those on because we all know that sometimes in the middle of something, a student could lose a connection or, some freaky thing could happen. And so that would just enable them to be able to get right back in if something like that were to happen. So I would recommend that those settings be kept on. Okay, so I'm going to click launch here. And I'm not sure if the game sounds are going to come through for you or not. They're coming through my headset. Okay, so let me mute this actually. It's showing this game pin up here at the top. And so the students are going to enter that on their device. So I'm going to go ahead and click start now. And students are going to enter this 795924. So again, you'd be projecting this up on the screen. Now for the students to get to their side, they're going to go to kahoot.it, and that's also showing right up here on the screen. It's also in our symbol right here in the middle. If they click on this, that's taking them to the student side so that they can be ready to put that game pin in. So they're going to put the game pin in, and then the screen is going to ask them for their name. And then they click join game. Now as soon as Sally joins the game here, her name shows up here on the screen. And so you're watching, it also gives a count. So it just has to watch for all the students to be in, for the right number to be up here, and all the names to be displayed. If you were really going to take an assessment using Kahoot, which I absolutely think you can do, you would definitely want to make sure your actual names so that you know whose score belongs to whom. So that is something that I've heard, some teachers are letting kids put in different names just for fun, and if you're just doing a review or something like that, no big deal. But if you want to take a grade on something, you're going to need real names associated with their work. Okay, so once everybody's in, I'll click Start Now. Okay, it's loading, and so it's bringing up the first question up on my projected screen. The question and the answer choices are all being projected on the screen. All the students see on their device are these color blocks with the shapes in it. So they have to look up there. They need to be able to read and see that up there. You could, of course, read it to them. So they're going to, choose whatever there is, and then it's going to, in this case, I didn't answer quickly enough. So it says that time's up. It's going to show me what the correct answer is. If there's an image associated with the question, I can show it again. Oh, I didn't have one, sorry. But I can show it again as I'm, maybe discussing the answer to this question with the class. Okay, and then we just go on to the next one. It's going to show who's in the lead. This is the part that the kids get really excited about because it's only going to show like the top 5 names, and so you can see who takes the lead after each question and who makes it up onto the board. And on their screens, it's going to show what position they're in, how close they are to the person that's just ahead of them. So that's pretty fun too. Okay, and then you just click on through. You can set it so that the questions automatically go through so that the teacher doesn't have to click next to get the next question. Okay, so there's just a little preview. I'm going to go back here and I'm actually going to sign out so that I can show you where you're going to go. Like I said, the students go to kahoot.it. That's the address that you direct the students to for their side. But the teacher side is at create.kahoot.it. And I've put those link addresses down in the helpful links box on our webinar screen so that you can find that. So when you go there, you can get your free account with this button up here. You just fill out just like every other account you've probably signed up for. Once you have that, you can enter here. So let me do that real quick. Okay, this is the screen that you come to Kahoot. And if you wanted to create a new Kahoot from scratch, you have these 3 options. We're going to talk about those in a few minutes. I'll save that for the end because that's probably the hardest aspect of this. You probably are going to start using Kahoot by using something that somebody else maybe has already created. So that's where we're going to go first. Up here at the top, these are some pretty important options. This new Kahoot, again, will bring you back to this screen. If you go away from this and you want to create something, you can use that purple button to get back here and choose what type you're going to create. Here's where you'd go to find things that you have already duplicated or created or favorited. Anything that you've tried to save for yourself is going to be under My Kahoots. But where we're going to go first is public Kahoots, and you can see there are quite a large number of them published and ready for you to use. So I can go here and I can just search for something that we're studying in class, like types of triangles. Okay, so it's bringing up these results, and as you can see, there's quite a lot of them. So I can skim through here and see things like one of the things questions. Like I don't want one that's just 3 questions. I want something, maybe more substantial than that. So, okay, so let's say that this one, I want to check it out. All I have to do is I can click on this plus thing or the title. Either way, it's going to let me take a look at this one. So here I can see the questions. If I click show all answers, I'm going to be able to see what the answer format is. So on this one, immediately I'm seeing that it's true, false. In fact, the whole thing is true, false. And so I can decide if I like that, or maybe I'm looking for something that has more multiple choice. So I can go back. So here's one, 19 questions, 4th grade. Let's see if this is something that looks good to me. I can show all answers. Okay, that one looks pretty good, but it's not just about triangles. Maybe we haven't all this stuff yet. So I can just keep searching through these things until I find something that I'm happy with. Okay, so let's say that this one's looking good to me and looks like one I want to use with my students in class. So if come back to it later. Maybe I'm preparing the night before. I can click favorite. And so now it shows that it's been added to my favorites list. Now I'm going to be able to find it under my Kahoots if I go there. If I'm ready to use this with my students, I can click play. And now you see that I'm getting the teacher side, that orange teacher side screen where I can set these parameters and click launch and it's ready to go. So finding a Kahoot that's already on topic with what you're studying is a pretty fast and easy process, and then you're ready to start using it with your students. If I go back here to my Kahoots, I can click on my favorites and I can find that triangles one that I just added if I'm trying to get back to that at a later date. Okay, so that's really, really, really simple. Now let's talk about if you want to, you find one that you like, you want to change a few things. Maybe there's just one question in there that that you haven't talked about in class yet, or you think it's going to confuse your students, so you want to take it out, or maybe you want to add more choices to the questions. Any sort of editing that you might want to do, I want to show you how you can duplicate a Kahoot and be able to have a copy of it that you can edit. So let's search for something else. I know that the fourth grader or fifth graders just finished reading Wonder a while back. My daughter loved it. And so you see lots of people have created quizzes, assessments, reviews, etc. on that book. So here's one that's questions long. So go check it out. I can see if I like the answers and everything. Okay, so maybe it's pretty good. Maybe I just want to make a couple changes to this, but for the most part, it's something that I like. Okay, now this took me a few minutes because there should be something on this screen that would allow me to duplicate this for myself or copy it, or I'm looking all over and I couldn't find anything. I actually had to go to their help files to figure this out. I have to go back. I could favorite this if I want, but I have to go back to this list. So here's the one I wanted. When I hover over the title, this little duplicate pops up. Okay, I just feel like that's not very obvious and it doesn't exist at all on the other screen. At least I haven't found it anywhere. So when you go over the title, like you're getting ready to check it out and click on that, you're going to slide right over here and click on duplicate, and that only shows up when you hover over the titles. So they're kind of tricky there about that. So if I click duplicate, now it's telling me that I have a duplicate. Now this is under created by me. This is my copy. It's marked as draft. And now I can go in and edit this. Okay, so here's my question one. It has the question up here and I've got some tools. I can add an image from my computer to it. I can add in some video if I've got a video clip. I can change the points and the time limit, and then I can put in my answers down here. I can also take away some of these choices, and I believe I can add them as well. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Delete, add question, duplicate. Yeah, maybe 4 is as most as I can have all my choices down there, but I can definitely, oh, there we go. Yeah, 4 is your maximum, I guess. So you can put in different responses here. You can mark which one is correct. And then when you're ready to move on to the next question, you just click save and continue. So here's question 2. I can edit. So if I'm back in here, oops. Oh, here we go. Sorry, lost my place. I can skip through the questions down here. So there's question 2, there's question 3. I can go through all those questions down there. I can delete a question if I want. I can add more questions. I can duplicate a question if the next one's going to be something similar. Just got all those options built in there for editing. So then I save and continue. So now I'm back on my whole question list. This allows me to drag these questions around if I want this, what is the name of Augie's school? If I want that to be question number 1, I can drag it up here until it's question number 1. So that just allows you to change the order of things around. When I get towards the end here, it's going to ask me a few questions, whether I want it to be publicly available so others can find it or not. I can put in a description. I can adjust the difficulty level. People always struggle with tags. Like, what on earth are tags? They're all over the place. In pretty much anything that we're doing online now, you need to include tags. And those should be just keywords. If somebody was trying to find this quiz, if they were going to public Kahoots and searching, and they were trying to find something like this, what would they search for? So in this case, clearly the title of the book, maybe whether it's a quiz or review or what kind of thing it might be, those would be the kind of things that you put in as tags, and you separate them by commas. So we would put something like wonder quiz. Oh my goodness. You just type in those keywords down there. Maybe the author's name would be a good thing to put in there or not. So it's going to have you do that, and then when you get to the end, you're all done, and you're ready to play it, or you can go back and do some more editing. Of course, there's also some tools to share it on social networking are always everywhere as well. Okay, so that's all there is to duplicating and editing somebody else's Kahoot. If you were wanting to do one from scratch, you would click on New Kahoot, and you have these 3 different options. And I spent just a little bit of time looking at what the difference is. A quiz allows you to have unlimited number of questions, and it's the format that we've been looking at on these sample ones that we've been in. Probably the most likely one for you to use. The discussion is only giving you one quick question. It's just kind of an opportunity. There's not a right or wrong answer to mark. You just put in different choices for them to pick from, and it's kind of like a survey, but it's like just one question, and it's intended to kind of launch a discussion in class. But again, there's no right or wrong answer. And then a survey is exactly the same as the discussion one, except it's an unlimited number of questions. So again, there's no right or wrong answers. You're just having students put in their opinions. So those are the different options you have in creating your own Kahoots. Just a couple other small things. They do have a pretty decent FAQ section if you have questions that as you're trying to get started. Like I said, I've been there trying to figure out how I can copy somebody else's Kahoot and edit it. So that helped me get an answer to that question pretty quickly. One thing I did want to point out is that right up here in this corner, there's this cute little blue tag up here, purple tag that says beta. And I don't know if you're familiar with the term beta, but that is a term used when some sort of computer programming is in a testing phase. There are different levels of testing. Beta testing is when it's being put out for public use, but it's still in a testing phase. And the reason I just wanted to point that out is that when something is labeled as beta, it's going to probably mean that there might be some glitches because they're still working out some things. It's still in a testing phase. Honestly, I have not had any issues pop up whatsoever with using Kahoot, but you just kind of always want to be mindful. If something doesn't seem to be working quite right, it's probably because of that, and they would probably greatly appreciate your feedback if you are having any sort of issue. So you'd want to contact support if something wasn't working right, and that way they can fix it. The other thing that I like to point out about things that are in beta testing is that often we have discovered with things like this that, right now Kahoot is free. It is completely 100% absolutely free. But that might only be true while it is in beta testing. Sometimes once they get through that beta testing phase and they've got all the kinks worked out, then they start charging for use of something like this. So always is good to go ahead and grab an account while it's in beta testing. Some companies will grandfather you in or give you a free year or something like that. But usually what happens is that there ends up being a limited free version, and then to get to the stuff that you've been using while it was in beta, you have to start paying for some of those things. So I just like to give a heads up about that, that just because it's free right now does not mean it will remain free forever. And I just don't want anybody to get any nasty surprises about that. Okay, so I've kind of walked through all those things. It is 3:22, so we still have a few minutes to spare. Definitely gets the whole class engaged, yes. And the thing is, I have now seen this and used this where from, I guess the youngest I've actually seen it is second grade, and the oldest is with adults. But with that entire age span, even with the adults, people get excited and they get into it and they want to do well. And I think the thing I love about it the most is that you really could get a high quality assessment out of this. That's something that you could even put in the grade book, but it's fun. And the kids are going to be working their hardest and doing their best. So, what better thing is there than something that can be engaging and fun, but also a quality assessment. Certainly to guide your instruction, but even to truly measure where the student's knowledge is. Exit tickets, I mean, there's just 100 ways you could use this. So I think it's a really great tool, and I hope it stays free for a while as well. So Shelby, do you have any questions? Would you like me to show you again, or I didn't, of course, click on every little thing that could be clicked on, so if there's something you want me to take a look at, I'd be happy to do that. There is an app. On an iPad, there is a Kahoot app. And so you'd want to actually talk to Janine briefly about this the other day. You would want to go to the App Store and search for Kahoot, and you can download that app and get that on the iPads. Now, we do have connection to the iTunes App Store blocked during school on our network. So there's a lot of reasons for that. So it usually has to be done either after school. Sometimes I can get connected to it, or a lot of times I end up bringing those things home. Or you might need to enlist one of us, Jill or Ben and I, to help get that app on those iPads. But there is an app. I have not actually tried putting in the address kahoot.it. My guess is that it may be Flash-based, which means that it won't work just to go there on Safari, that you would actually need to have the app in order to be able to use it. But I haven't actually tried that out myself, so I can't say that definitively. You could certainly give it a try, just grabbing an iPad and typing that in and seeing what happens. But ultimately, we'd want to get that app onto those iPads. Good question. I'm actually trying it on my phone right now. Kahoot.it. Oops. Actually, it looks like it's working on my phone. Let me go to one here and get the pin, see if it works here for me. We're just going to test this out right now. 242097. Okay, well, it's working on my phone, which means it should work on an iPad as well. So that's good news. That means that, yes, they could just go to kahoot.it and get to that. I do think, especially with first grade kindergarten, it would still be nice to get that app onto those iPads, but we know that that takes time, and none of us have enough of that. So in the meantime, kahoot.it looks like it'll work for you, and you can get going with that. That is wonderful. I hope hope you do get to use it, and I hope you let me know how it goes. And as always is the case, if you're trying something new and you need a little extra support in it, don't hesitate to email me and let me know, and I'll see if I can arrange my schedule so that I can be there and support you. If you think you're okay to give it a whirl on your own, then go for it and let me know if you run into any issues or have any questions. Okay, good. Yes. You're very welcome, Shelby. Thank you for being such a faithful opportunity attender, and I appreciate your participation, and I know that others will benefit from the recording as well. You have an absolutely wonderful evening, and I'll see you soon.